What's going on, guys? I'm Ryan. This is Michigan Storm Chasers. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time watching, be sure to hit the like and also subscribe buttons here on the channel. We do weather content daily, if not almost daily, pumping out videos, live streams, coverage of severe weather, 24/7, 365 here at MSC. So feel free to follow along if you do not know who we are. We have a breakdown video today of Monday and also Tuesday's severe weather risks. We're going to go into a little bit of detail, but we're not going to go into too much detail. We're going to leave that for tomorrow. All right. Before I get started, though, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor of the video, McKay Tree Specialists, based in Southeast Michigan. For all your tree needs, feel free to give McKay a call. Number on your screen, 248-308-7308. They would appreciate that, as would we, and make sure you tell them MSC sent you if you happen to need their tree services. Monday, April 28th, we have a level 3 out of 5 severe risk for the western half of the UP. Places like Ironwood, Marquette, Iron Mountain, and Houghton, all within the level 3 risk. Further to the east, across much of the entirety of the UP, even parts of western lower Michigan, we have a yellow there, so that's a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. Then even further to the east in dark green, that's your level 1 risk, marginal, all the way over to about Lansing, Alma, Mount Pleasant, Roscommon, and Sheboygan areas. In the light green color over by Detroit, Ann Arbor, Flint, you guys are in a general thunderstorm risk for your Monday time frame. Your severe risk likely will come on Tuesday. I want to start with the probabilities from the SPC here. Again, we do our own in-house forecasting as well. We're going to display that on our stream tomorrow, as well as this evening on our Facebook page. We'll go over our forecast here a little bit later on. This is just your general SPC forecast. You guys are probably more familiar with these anyway. Right now, we do have a 30% red area in the western half of the UP. Further in yellow to the east, we have a 15% risk, and then in the brownish red color there further east, 5% risk there from the SPC. That is seeing severe weather within a 25-mile point of any location on this map. So if you live in Marquette, you are on the edge there between the 30 and the 15% there. So you are within a 25-mile point of that 30% risk. So you are in that 30% risk there in Marquette, for example. All right. Now, what are the hazards? What are the ingredients coming together for Monday? And then what about Tuesday? Because Tuesday is another risk we have to keep an eye on as well. Going to one of our models here, the RRFS. We are looking at the future radar. We're going to run this through today. Pretty dry out there. Sunday afternoon could get wet there for the western UP. Not going to be too much of a concern there. Just a few rain showers. And as we go into Monday, here we go into Monday afternoon, into the evening hours. We're dry pretty much the entire day. We're going to pause it right here, and we're going to talk about this risk at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Time. Here we go, walking you guys through this. Here is 11 p.m. Eastern. We're going to see numerous cells begin to form there in the western UP. Here's midnight Eastern. A potent-looking line of storms develops here and pushes into the western UP. Even got some cells out ahead of it, too, as a possibility late Monday evening, close to that midnight Eastern time frame. That is the time to watch. Later on, probably after 10 o'clock, probably closer to midnight, if not after midnight. Breaking it down further, let's talk about our storm field. We talk about SLIM, shear, lift, instability, and moisture. That is your 4 main ingredients for severe weather. Let's talk about our wind shear here. Check out how much wind shear we have. This bright color here, the brownish red and even the whitish, almost like an amber color in here, that is your extremely high wind shear. Basically the entire state of Michigan in a high shear event, or high shear environment, should I say. So shear, check it off your list. We have lift here from the low pressure system in the area, so lift is also checked off. The instability at the current time, as of midnight, still 1 to 2,000 joules of surface-based instability. That is more than enough to support severe weather. It does diminish quickly, though, as we go toward that 2 a.m. time frame. But still, as these storms first arrive in the western UP, they have a lot of juice left to work with. And then last but not least, your moisture quality. Looking at your dew points up there, we're looking at low to mid 60s for our dew points. Plenty sufficient for a severe weather risk. So all boxes are checked here for severe weather. Now, what are we talking about in terms of hazards? We know the timing, we know ingredients. What about the hazards involved here? So let's go ahead and start here, going back to the reflectivity, the future radar. Run this through the time frame. We're going to pause it right here. Number one concern is going to be any cells that develop out ahead may bring a large hail risk and maybe a low risk for damaging winds as well as a tornado. Now, I think the main concern that we're going to have is with the secondary line that comes up behind these cells, if any do pop up there. This line will carry damaging winds as your primary concern, a secondary concern of quick spin-up tornadoes for the western UP. There's a lot of wind shear here. There's a lot of shear that would cause some brief spin-ups. Wouldn't be shocked to have a few spin-up tornadoes up in the western half of the UP, but main risk for you guys would be in the way of damaging winds there later on in the evening. And again, if any individual cells pop up like these, they'd have more of a hail risk and a lower chance for wind and hail than the wind threat comes with any lines. The reason for that is lines have a harder time producing hail, whereas individual cells have an easier time producing hail more than they do wind and sometimes tornadoes as well. That is your risk areas and also your hazards. All right, moving in, walking you guys through this time frame. Here's midnight. Here's 1 a.m. Eastern. Here's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., about 4 or so. Those storms are moving off into Canada and have cleared the UP. So about, we're going to say 10 p.m. as early as 10 p.m. to as late about 4 o'clock in the morning or so. So 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. That is round one. We have round two to talk about as well. Going to the SPC map here, we do have a 15% slight risk, level 2, in place there for portions of southern Michigan. The good news is this is trending to go further south and further east as of late, but let's talk about it. All right, going back to the forecast model here, going to go switch over here to the GFS model. More of a long-term model here. We're going to look at one ingredient, and that is our surface cape, our instability storm fuel for storms. All right, backing this up into the Monday time frame, we're going to see quite a bit of it there for the western UP. That's for Monday night. As we move into Tuesday morning, that shifts to the east. Here's 8 a.m. Tuesday, so sunrise on Tuesday morning. Here's 11 a.m. By about that 2 p.m. time frame or so, when storms start to really start to fire up or potentially fire up, all that storm fuel is pretty much on the eastern half of Michigan. So if you're up here in Mount Pleasant, up here in Grand Rapids, Manistee, Alpena, you guys may get kind of split or skipped over between Monday night and potentially Tuesday afternoon and evening. So perhaps some areas of Michigan do miss out on the severe threat. But if you are over here in southeast Michigan, especially east of Lansing, we're going to say south of the Tri-Cities and east of Lansing, you guys, as of right now, have the highest concern for something severe as of Tuesday afternoon and evening. In terms of hazards, we're not going to go too specific in that sense just yet, but I would expect there to be more of a wind and hail threat more than there is a tornado threat for the Tuesday time frame. Something to watch here. Plenty of storm fuel, just limited in terms of how much area is covered here in Michigan. So south and east Michigan, be alert there for Tuesday if that changes. We'll let you guys know, but as it stands, pretty good agreement here from the SPC. Perhaps pull that slight risk a little bit further north into the thumb based on latest model guidance, but right now that looks to be pretty decent from the SPC here. Our forecast comes out on Facebook tonight at 7 o'clock, and also we'll do a briefing tomorrow at 7 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch to talk about our forecast and about timing and all that jazz for that Monday night and also Tuesday time frame. So with that said, I'm going to pop out of here. Hope it answers you guys' questions. Make sure you have ways to receive warnings for Monday night and also Tuesday. I got you guys covered here at MSC. And as always, we'll be live 24/7, 365 for any severe warnings in the state of Michigan. You guys have an excellent day. I will catch you tomorrow for an update video as well as our live stream at 7 p.m.